Hi guys. So I've got something special for today, which I think you guys are going to enjoy greatly. We're going to do a pick a card reading, which we haven't done in ages on my channel, which is basically a video and reading format where you participate in this semi-interactive tarot reading, which is to a certain degree personalized, obviously. If you'd like to receive a completely personal tarot reading tailored and suited to your specific problem, then you can book a reading with me via my website. But what we're going to do now is going to be kind of a substitute for that, or a playful presentation of what that could be like. So buckle up and enjoy. So I will present to you 3 Hungarian words, and I'm going to say them out loud to you. Now, I'm assuming that most of you who are watching the video do not speak Hungarian, so you have no idea what these words mean, but I would like you to listen to them, what they sound like, what kind of feelings or ideas they generate in your subconscious, and then make your choice. So choose one of the 3, and that is going to constitute your reading alongside with the meaning of the word that you chose. So we're going to assume that that also has some kind of relevance to you and your life right now. Okay, now let me pull the cards. If you are by any chance a Hungarian speaker, then don't fret. You can still participate in this reading. It's just that your choice is going to be a more conscious and deliberate one than those who don't speak the language. So, but still, the tarot card, which is going to correspond to the topic of your choice, is still going to be revelatory, hopefully. So we're looking for some insights here on these 3 different topics, which we don't know what they are yet, but in a minute we're going to find out. Let me read the words to you. Okay. First one is kitartás. 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 Okay. The second one, halál. 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 Okay. And the third one is érdeklődés. 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 Okay. So, kitartás. Halál. Érdeklődés. Make your choice, whichever you are attracted to. Let's skip to that part of the video and you can listen to your reading there. If you picked the first word, kitartás, it means endurance. It means persistence. The ability to hang on and keep carrying on, even if the going gets tough. Kitartás is an important component to success and life in general. So let's see which card corresponds to that. And here we have the 2 of Wands. So kitartash is not something that you think about. It's not a feeling. It's something that you do. It's very strictly action-based, as reflected by this fire-based card, which belongs to the Wands suit. So it's not the amount of deliberation, not the amount of sophisticated thinking that makes the difference here. The Two of Wands is a really rudimentary, quote-unquote primitive fire energy card, in the sense that it doesn't yet involve complex cognitive processes. It has more to do with instincts and impulses and sort of readiness to be there, to be alert, to take action. So what this card is trying to tell you is that if you have problems with your kitartash, one of the best ways to think about it is that no amount of thinking or no amount of planning even is going to considerably influence how enduring you can be, how persistent, how committed you can be to a certain line of action. What really matters is that you allow for this spark of motivation to happen and to take over your body and to remain active throughout the process. And this is something that should realistically happen in a cyclical fashion. The ebb and flow of motivation is a natural phenomena, well observable in all of us. And so when the going gets tough, when you feel like you want to let go, when you want to give up, when you want to exit the situation instead of moving on forward, then that's where it's almost like there's this Buddhist idea of enlightenment being analogous to the situation of a cow who needs to jump over the moon. So when it comes to these things, you need to think of yourself as the cow who needs to jump over the moon. You're here to do something impossible. And the more thinking is involved, or the more you're trying to rationalize the action that you're supposed to be taking, the less fuel or the less drive there's going to be for you to keep carrying on. So it's almost as though in this situation, the more you allow yourself to think about it, the less successful you're going to be. So this requires a certain blindness of faith, which to many of us is very scary, which is why I think there's this overall tendency in many of us in this modern age to not really be fully committed to our endeavors. We are quitters because we think too much. So that's your message. Now let's move on to the second one. The second word is halal. If you chose this word, you made a really courageous choice, because this word means death. Plain and simple, it's death. So let's see what your message is. And here we have the Knight of Swords. Knight of Swords, in my mind, the first thing that came up was resistance. Resistance that comes from a place of ego, a place of pride, and how that resistance can sometimes be useful. In esoteric thinking, or in many traditions of thought, at least in New Age circles, there's this real big emphasis on letting go and surrendering, which is a powerful concept, but it doesn't fit all situations, and it's not something that should be applied without discernment. So death is the natural progression of things. It's the universe's tendency towards entropy, towards collapse, towards decay and destruction. And here we are in this life, humanity in general, fighting this tendency with all our might. There are some people amongst us who deny the existence of death. Many of us, actually, when you ask someone, do you think you're going to die? Of course, everybody replies, yeah, I'm aware I'm going to die. But are you, on a deep level, aware of this, the finality, the mortality of things? And are you aware of how you're opposing the tendencies of death in your own life, whether you're opposing those tendencies or not? So the Knight of Swords has the right idea, in the sense that he doesn't simply want to consent to what is natural or what is the conventional order of things. He has this rebellious streak, and his idea is that because I can think it, therefore it must be possible, which is absolutely a manic position. In the psychoanalytic tradition, there's this idea that mania is, it happens in a person when there's an opposition towards depression, which is kind of emerging in the psyche. So there's a fight, there's an effort to negate the possibility of death. There's an effort to ward off the scary and psychologically taxing feelings of the reality of death. So mania happens when the psyche decides to operate and make decisions in the face of death, denying its existence, countering it, laughing in its face, and basically not allowing into conscious awareness the possibility that things can fall apart. So what this card is saying to me here is that being aware that death is the ultimate fate and destiny of all living things, beings, and even abstract things. Knowing that and consenting to the process of decomposition, which is present in many ways in our lives. So there's a process of dying For example, in our relationships, there's a natural tendency for people to grow apart, to get irritated, to want to have distance. And so this is also kind of in a minor way, it's a reflection of the process of death. And we have a choice. We can accept that this is happening, allow it to happen, or we can choose to disregard it, which some could argue is a position of hubris, a position of arrogance. But I think that you need a little bit of that. You need to have a little bit of a position of non-acceptance when it comes to this. So fight death in your life. Don't consent to the inevitable, even if on a deep level and on a conscious level, you know that this is the nature of things. You can beat this proposition. You can reject this proposition from death in minor ways, and by doing so, you empower yourself. So this is your message. Let's see the next one. If you chose number 3, érdeklődés, this is a word which is kind of hard to translate, because on the one hand, it simply means interest, so being interested. But then there's this very specific, it's hard to explain, but there's this behavioral dimension to it, where it's not a passive thing, but it's more of a being attracted to something and wanting to know more about it. So an interest of yours could be a hobby that you have. You could be interested in a person, and that's not just a cognitive process in your mind, but it drives your behavior very deeply. So this is the starting point. And we've got the Eight of Cups. Okay. So very interesting, because érdeklődés the dynamic is that there's something out there which attracts you, which draws you in. It mesmerizes you, and you want to know more. You get curious, you want to get closer. And then we've got the Eight of Cups, which is the quintessential card of distance, of wanting to move away from what is being offered to you at the present moment. It's surrendering. It's giving up and walking away. So the question here is, can you identify some of the things that may have been a strong interest of yours, whether that be certain topics that you researched extensively, relationships that you passionately built and worked on, situations that you've invested a lot into. Think of those that used to be a very powerful interest for you, and try and honestly investigate whether those interests still have that strong drive between them, or behind them, rather. Sorry. So is that same motivation, that same passion still there? And if not, is there just a habit or a or some kind of other type of attachment which is keeping you there? Is this thing still alive is the question, because the Eight of Cups presents those situations where you realize that something that had intense emotional meaning in your life in the past is no longer that important. It has lost its significance. And there's this very sad moment of recognizing that you have to let go. So I'm inviting you to investigate and explore this painful topic. Think about it. Some of your interests that you habitually claim to be still engaged with, involved with, do you detect the same or similar levels of attraction, intellectual, emotional attraction that you used to? Or is this something that you're only doing out of habit? Are you doing things on autopilot? Is the question here. So this is your reading. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.